What's up, witches? It's Claudia here, and I have some exciting news. Finally, we have created a Patreon. So you can find us at patreon.com/truecrimecovenpod. At the moment, there is only one tier. It's the familiar tier, and it's just where you can chuck us £1 just to help keep us going every month. We aim to expand on this and create new tiers and exciting content. But for now, if you'd like to support us in this way, please do go ahead. That's patreon.com/truecrimecovenpod. Enjoy the episode, guys.
What's up, witches?
Hi, I'm Claudia.
And I'm Jess.
And welcome to True Crime Coven. Hey Jess, how you doing?
Hey Claudia, I'm good. I can't get comfy now. Like we've been sat here for like 5 minutes and now I'm like fidgeting.
I mean, you do have like a 6 pound weight on your stomach, so it's fine. I was going to say long time no see. I saw you yesterday.
Yeah, we actually went for food. We did something sociable.
We were going to do something podcast related and we bailed.
Yeah.
Because we're bad podcasts.
To be fair, it was a 2-hour drive away and you'd just come off like long...
3 night shifts in a row.
Yeah, and I had a busy weekend. And
to be fair, you're always a very busy person. Like, you make me feel so unproductive as a human. You're like, I've done this and this, and I'm like, I have sat in my own crumbs and watched TV.
I'm not always that productive. Like, I go out a lot, but my house is a mess because I don't ever have time to clean it. Because obviously I had a wedding on Sunday, which is why I was out all weekend. And then on the way home, we went to Stonehenge, which was pretty cool. But then after that, I went home and had a nap, so... Yeah,
but again, you're also literally growing a life, so...
Yeah.
You not being productive is you being more productive than me.
Not necessarily.
I'm only brewing farts.
I mean, I'm doing that too.
True.
Very much so.
Well, I hate to bring the mood down, but it is murder week.
Ooh. No, wait, no, that's a ghost.
That is the wrong sound effect, Jess.
Yeah, I don't know, because I don't want to sound... I'm always excited for true crime cases, but I don't really want to be like, woo, murder!
Yeah, we're definitely not cheering murder. Well, today I want to speak about femicide. Jess is looking at me.
Sorry, no, as you said that, I was reading your mug. This is the first time I've actually read what the mug you've given me says.
Oh, what does it say? Read it out.
I've got the hots for Theresa May.
Yeah, it was something Mikey got sent. Now, this is the term coined in 1976 by a feminist author called Diana E.H. Russell, who defined the term as the killing of females by males because they are female. However, the term femicide often includes killings of females by other females now too, and is considered a hate crime. Of course, here on True Crime Coven, we know that there are more than just 2 genders. There's more than just male and female.
Yeah.
But sadly, because those who don't identify as male or female, or those who were assigned the wrong gender at birth, are more likely to be victims of a hate crime, it's hard to find out facts and figures relating to the murders of females by those outside of the binary genders. Because, like, when you go to Google it, what comes up is, sadly, hate crimes against those who don't fall into the binary categories. As violence against the transgender, non-binary and gender fluid communities is way higher. So when you search the figures, you're met with more crimes against people within those communities than you are crimes committed by them. So it's really hard to find out facts and figures like that. Now, because 80% of murder victims are men, many argue femicide to be a non-issue, a feminist agenda, so to speak, whatever that means. But it's the startling amount of women who are killed by men and the violence against women perpetrated by men that astounds me. Whilst more men may be the victims of murder, 92% of women killed are done so by men. And on average in the UK, a woman is killed by a man every 3 days.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's scary, isn't it?
Yeah, that is a very high number.
Yeah. And every 4 days, a woman is killed by a current or former partner.
That, although is really high and really significant, I am not surprised after hearing the first number that second number is by a partner.
And we all know that when women often try to flee abusive relationships, it's that time when they're trying to flee that is the most dangerous.
Also, I know like this is delving right into like a rabbit hole, but I wonder how many of the men murdered as well are also victims, like new boyfriends of women who've been victimized by ex.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
I guess, I see what you're saying.
So they've gone out and murdered their ex-girlfriend and their new partner.
Also, most men are killed by other men.
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying that makes it right, because people often draw that comparison when they speak about Black Lives Matter. They say, well, most crimes on black people are committed by other black people, and that's just such a stupid, disgusting stance to take, because it's not the point.
No.
And it means they've totally missed the point of Black Lives Matter.
Yeah.
But most men are killed by men, and it just is still one of those things where, like, I'm not saying men are the issue. I know that a lot of men die by suicide, and I'm never trying to put the blame completely on men and every man. But I'm also just trying to get out there that it seems to be that a lot of people who kill tend to be men. We know it's not always the case. We've covered female killers. Amy Bishop.
Yeah.
Nicola Edgington. Like, we've covered female killers. I'm not going to sit here and say, like, women are perfect. Like, no. But statistically, men kill more. Yeah. And a lot of women are killed by men.
Yeah.
The statistics are shocking. They actually, when I was researching, it made me tear up a bit. I was like,
yeah, I'm not surprised.
God. I think because as a woman, I have taken steps to ensure my safety. Every woman has. Or at least we're all familiar with the warnings. Don't take shortcuts. Don't walk home alone at night. Don't wear your hair in a ponytail. It's easier to be grabbed. Don't go home with a man you don't know. Don't leave your drink unattended. Don't listen to music. All these things that we have to do, all these steps we have to take just to survive.
It's mad, isn't it?
And whenever something happens to a woman, it's what was she wearing? Yeah. Oh, well, she was walking that way at home. Would you walk that way at home alone at night? And it's like...
Still is victim blaming, isn't it?
Exactly. It's like, well, regardless, the fact that she took the shortcut wasn't what killed her. It was the fact that she ran into a rapist or a murderer on the way.
Yeah.
And the fact is, women deserve to live without taking precautions in their everyday life.
100%.
Many ingrained into us, so much so that we don't even realise we do them. They're just habitual ways of life.
Yeah.
And this became apparent to me when I went to a wedding recently. It's a really lovely day, but I did notice that I got a bad look from another attendee there, and I thought perhaps it was me being a bit like thinking things until I mentioned it to my boyfriend. He was like, no, I didn't notice that. And I was like, oh, maybe I'm reading into a look, like maybe she just looked and it happened to look a bit dodgy.
Yeah.
But the other girl I was with was like, oh my God, I've 100% seen her looking at us and like giving us disapproving looks.
Oh, okay.
And me and Mikey were talking about it a few days later, and I said, do you think as a woman I'm more likely to scan my surroundings because I need to be aware of who's around me at all times?
100%.
And do you think as a man you should still be aware of who's around you because men are still targeted?
Yeah.
But do you not think as a man you're less ingrained to constantly know what's going on?
Yeah.
And he was like, oh. Yeah, that's interesting. I think so.
A lot of the times, like, I notice things and I'll point it out to Aiden and he'll be like, oh, I didn't even notice that.
Yeah. And I know women are stereotypically more observant.
Yeah.
And I know that some scientists say that there's research to suggest that the stereotypical roles and like the hunter-gatherer versus the like person who kept home says that men and women do have different vision. So like women are meant to be better at scanning and men are meant to be better at honing in.
I mean, I feel like, not to sound sexist, but I think everyone knows what you mean when we say a man look.
Yeah.
Like literally just don't notice something in front of you. Well,
I've like heard it said, and again, I don't know how out of date this research is. I don't know if it's absolute bullshit.
Yeah.
But I did read once, and it wasn't from a credible source, that the reason like men get in trouble for checking women out more is because men are, with their vision, they have to like move their head up and down to check a woman out, or like visibly move their eyes.
Oh, okay.
Whereas women can sort of like scan someone without really doing that.
Yeah.
Again, that could be absolute bullshit. I'm not going to sit here and say it's like definitely scientifically true.
But I do kind of like not agree with it, but
you
like
see where
I can
it's come
see
from.
where, yeah.
But in that same vein, like I said, the men and female is not just two categories, it's not just two parts, so that kind of blows that whole shit out of the water. But I suppose sex and gender are two different things, so.
Yeah, I also feel like those kind of things that like would have made women better gatherers, whatever, men better hunters, like way back in the day, that's probably because that's what they were brought up doing, and it's probably like less of a definitive thing now.
Exactly. But maybe interesting to look into at some point.
Definitely.
And today, I want to speak about a case of a woman who was just living her life when she had it brutally cut short. Sadly, this doesn't really narrow down the cases that we could be about to cover.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to dive in and ask if you've ever heard of Ashling Murphy.
Oh, yeah, name rings a bell, actually.
Very recent case.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think you should have heard of her, at least in some sort of passing. I don't know how much you take in the news. I must admit, sometimes I don't take in the news that much, which is very
I feel like
privileged.
I feel like, especially stuff like that within the recent world, once COVID hit, I'm not going to lie. Like, obviously, I listen to the news, but yeah, I like, at the time that COVID hit, I lived with Aiden's parents, and his dad was like retired at the time, and he literally just used to sit at home watching the news. So every time I came in, like, the news was on, and I got to a point where I was like, I cannot watch this anymore, it's just too depressing. But that name does definitely ring a bell.
I always think, in terms of watching the news, it's one of those things where it's such a privileged position to be able to not watch it. But at the same time, I think we're all very overwhelmed with bad news at the moment. So whilst it's privileged and ignorant to perhaps not take it in, I think it is understandable sometimes. You have to be informed, but you've also got to make sure you're able to just get through the day.
I tend to listen to just like, so I listen to my daily drive on the way home on Spotify, and that just gives you like a 5-minute snippet of the news from today. And then on the way into work, I'll listen to Newsbeat on Radio 1. Yeah. Because again, it's just
and then you can always research further into anything.
And it's like the big things that have happened that day.
Yeah.
Rather than...
I mean, I know what's going on in the world. I just definitely don't watch the news, except when it's on at work, because that's the only channel that works in our staff room, which is really nice.
Or I check out the Bristol Live just to see what's happening locally.
Yeah. It's good to be informed, but I think we can all agree that right now, sometimes you just have to be really kind to your brain.
Yeah.
And definitely. If you're privileged enough to do that, definitely acknowledge your privilege, but it's okay to sometimes have a bit of privilege, as long as you're not a dick about it. So, I heard about Ashling Murphy as I was sat in the staff room at work. As I said, that's the only channel that works in our staff room. It's really great to work a really stressful A&E shift and then go into the staff room. And one time they were doing a segment about babies dying in hospitals, and I thought, well, this is hunky-dory.
Yeah, this is what I want to listen to.
Could we turn this off, please? And literally my eyes filled with tears. I remember speaking to one of the doctors about it, and I began tearing up. But violence against women has been a hot topic for a while now. Yeah. And it is so much more than a hot topic. I'm not trying to condense it in that way. But it had been at the time that this happened, because of what happened to Sarah Everard, and you had the case of Gabby Petito, and you had Sabina. You had all these women that were being killed.
There was a lot in a short space of time.
Yes, and I think also what we all were made aware of during COVID was that people who are isolating and staying indoors in houses with abusive partners were having it worse than ever before.
Oh, definitely.
Because that partner's no longer going to work or going to the pub with his friends, or you're not able to take the kid out for a walk or go for a walk.
There's no escape for these poor people who were being who were victims of domestic abuse. Exactly.
So I think it was all more on our minds, and then it did seem like quite a few crimes happened to women in a short space of time. I don't know if maybe they're just being more reported on.
Yeah, maybe,
but
because
it definitely felt like
it sounds bad, but like there was less to report on, if that makes sense, because like the news was literally COVID.
But for now, we're going to talk about Ashling Murphy, and I just would like to tell her story.
Yeah, fair enough.
Now, this might also be the fact that her killer was found quite quickly.
Yeah.
Is another reason why it was sort of happened, killer found quickly, so there was less speculation. Like you said, Gabby Petito, it was such a weird set of circumstances. Like, we all kind of know who did it.
I mean, from the get-go, we were like, it's the boyfriend.
But it was still all very odd. But today, I want to speak about Ashling Murphy. So I would say, again, sort of no massive trigger warnings for this, except it's a horrible murder.
Yeah, fair enough.
Ashling Murphy was born on July 6th, 1998, to parents Kathleen and Raymond Murphy. She was the youngest of their 3 children, having 2 siblings, Cahal and Amy. Ashling was born in Blue Ball, and it lies southwest of the county town of Tullamore. Growing up, she played violin, something that she would take into adulthood, and she was said to be a talented fiddler. In fact, her whole family were musical. She was well known in the Midlands and in musical circles across the country. And I believe the Midlands is talking about the Midlands of Ireland.
Yeah,
because at first I was like, that's weird. Just the Midlands
just the
and then
Midlands,
Ireland. Ashling was an intelligent woman and gained a primary teaching qualification from Mary Immaculate College in Limerick. After which, she went on to work as a first-class teacher at Durrow National School in Tullamore. Now, first grade is like our reception, I think.
Oh,
so
okay.
it's like your first year of primary school. And in Ireland, you must start that by the age of 6, which is a bit later than in the UK. In first class, you learn the alphabet, basic mathematics, take parts in arts and craft, as well as physical education. And it was in this role that she was working at her first job since leaving university when she was killed. In what was her New Year's resolution, Ashling decided to go jogging after work between 3 p.m. and 4 p.m. on January 12th, 2022. She went to Grand Canal just outside of Tullamore, and looking at photos, I can see why she chose this place. Whilst beautiful and so a lovely place to be, it is also practical, with a path running alongside it to follow. And I actually really like jogging.
Yeah.
But one of the reasons I don't do it is because I really hate not having like a path to follow.
Yeah.
And I really hate not having a flat path because
it's very hilly around here.
It's very hilly, and also I like running on a path that I kind of is in a circle. It sounds really bad, but I like a running track.
Yeah.
And then I don't mind hills being nearby that I can choose to go up and down when I'm like feeling extra energetic.
Yeah.
But one of the flats me and Mikey almost looked at had a running track on the roof.
Oh, wow.
And we were going to go for it because I was like, I would genuinely run.
Yeah.
Then, I mean, I would for all of a month anyway.
Yeah.
But we didn't go for it, so it was worth.
Okay, yeah.
But
fair enough.
Little snippet no one asked for. And although the canal is secluded in parts lined by trees and shrubbery, there were also houses along certain parts. Plus, at this time of the day, despite Ireland still being in its winter months, it was light outside. And please note it's madness that I'm kind of justifying it here.
Yeah, I did. As soon as you said running straight from work between 3 and 4, I was like, well, that would have still been light.
Yeah.
That was my first thought. Like, she's not doing anything like silly. She's being sensible.
Exactly. And the fact is, that's not the point.
Yeah, she can go running in the middle of the night if she wants to. She should still be just as safe.
Exactly. And she should be able to go somewhere secluded.
Yeah.
It should be just as safe.
Yeah.
At around 4 p.m, whilst Ashling was still smashing her New Year's resolution, she was brutally attacked. She fought back, desperately fighting for her life, with the Gardaí finding evidence that Ashling used her keys to defend herself. Once again, she was doing everything quote-unquote right as a woman jogging alone. Semi-built up area, check. Light outside, check. Keys in hand just in case, check.
Yeah.
And for any listeners not familiar with Ireland, the police there are called, I'm going to try and pronounce this right, Garda Síochána.
No idea.
It's not spelled like that.
I know they're the Garda.
Yeah. or Gardaí or Garda. I don't...
It's spelled Garde, isn't it?
No.
Oh, is it not?
Gardai.
Oh,
But
AI.
Garda Síochána is Garda. There's no I. I don't know if it's Gardaí or Garda. I'm really sorry. I've never been to Ireland, and
I have, but
I really should have asked my Irish friends.
My mum's in Ireland right now.
Oh, top of the morning to her.
Top
That
of the
was really
morning
offensive
to you.
to anyone who's Irish listening.
Yeah, she's visiting my uncle.
But anyway, it means the guardian of the peace. However, they're more commonly referred to as the Garda. I think it's Garda.
Yeah.
And they're the police service of the Republic of Ireland.
Okay.
And in fact, 2 women who were also out for a jog that evening witnessed the attack on Ashling. Not having phones on them, one of the women ran and knocked on the door of a nearby house. And I must presume they lived really nearby because they knew the resident of the house that they knocked on.
Okay.
It belonged to Tommy Martin, and he opened the door to find the distressed and frantic woman asking to use his phone, saying that there was a girl being assaulted on the canal. Of course, Tommy let her in, where she called the Garda. However, it was too late. Ashling had been killed by strangulation and was pronounced dead at the scene.
Oh, that's horrible.
The Garda quickly got to work. With around 50 officers assigned to the case, they felt confident that they would catch the man responsible, who they believe had randomly targeted the 23-year-old teacher and musician due to the 2 eyewitnesses and a Falcon Storm mountain bike, which was recovered from near the crime scene. The mountain bike was especially important due to its distinctive greenish-yellow front forks. And I'm not a bike person, so that means nothing to me.
Absolute gibberish.
Why do you have forks on a bike?
Yeah.
I assume it means something.
Yeah. No, literally no idea.
They were also like straight handrails, and I was like...
Oh, I'm guessing that means like normal handrails rather than like road bike. You know how road bikes like curl under like
they have the curvy ones.
Yeah. But forks, I'm literally just imagining like forks. Like eating forks. The painted green stuck on the front of his bike.
And by greenish yellow, I assume they mean like neon.
Yeah, in my head, it's like, I'm just picturing a kid's bike. Like...
Yeah, no, but it wasn't a kid's bike.
No,
but,
yeah. I'm guessing nice lot of fingerprints though on a bike.
Well, they also had so much to go by, like literally 2 eyewitnesses.
Yeah, they're going to see this man.
Just the day after Ashling's murder, they detained a 40-year-old man based on the descriptions given, but they ended up releasing him quickly after clearing him of all suspicion. However, due to the threats and abuse he faced online after his arrest, he had to be taken to a safe house for the night after his release, which is so sad. Like, I understand the anger and disgust, but to jump on someone cleared, who it sounds like was only arrested because he fit the suspect's description, is not okay.
Yeah, also, if they've cleared him that quickly, they obviously have sufficient evidence to go by that it wasn't him. He probably had a really good alibi, fingerprints didn't match, put him in a lineup, and the women were like, not him.
Exactly. Like, I understand that people have been cleared in the past for things, and either that case has remained unsolved, but everyone kind of knows that they did it, or believes that they did it, or, you know, people have been cleared and actually gone back and it is them. I get that. But he was arrested the day after and then cleared the same day.
Yeah.
That's a very quick time to arrest someone. They were clearly striking while the iron was hot and got it wrong.
Yeah.
Which happens.
Also, if you give a description of a guy who's 5'9" with medium length brown hair,
well, I must say,
you're going to get quite a few hits.
Looking at pictures of who allegedly did this to Ashling, I have to say allegedly because they've not been charged yet.
Okay.
He is very run-of-the-mill looking.
Yeah.
It's not like, okay, I've got pink and blue hair. If I committed a crime, that narrows it down if you describe that.
Whereas
if you commit a crime...
I've got like long balayage hair. I'm 5'6", average build.
Yeah.
Like
the pregnancy rules narrows it down a little bit.
But on a normal day when I'm not pregnant,
on a normal, you know, my days off.
Yeah. On my days off from being a whale, I would say I'm quite average, bog standard.
You fit the description of multiple people, whereas once again, I've got pink and blue hair. I've got quite a lot of tattoos. Some that could be, you know, people might go, oh, she had like a pigeon tattoo.
Yeah, like Ed Gamble once described himself as the default character on a video game. And I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah, there's some people do just look like the default character on a video game.
And regardless, this man did not deserve to be made to feel unsafe.
Yeah.
On top of having the eyewitnesses and the bike as evidence to go off of, there was also DNA recovered from Ashling's body. Mm-hmm. And this would come in very useful when a man turned up at a hospital in Dublin. So he presented with a number of serious injuries which he couldn't explain, wounds which may have been caused by a woman fighting for her life with sharp keys.
Funny that.
The man was also known to have links to County Offaly, where Tullamore is situated. And so the hospital staff called the Garda after something just wasn't adding up with their patient. And yeah, it is also like a bit of a sixth sense. Like, I get it sometimes with patients. Like, you ask some things and you kind of get a bit of a,
Yeah, and you're like, oh, how did you get that? And they're like, oh, I can't remember.
Yeah.
And you're like,
I've definitely had weird things presenting. You think that explanation doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And after some background checks by the Garda, they decided to take him in for questioning as soon as he was released from hospital. They also searched 2 properties, one in Dublin where the suspect lived, and one in County Offaly. 2 cars were also seized and searched, including the taxi which the suspect took to the hospital. I'm assuming they may have thought that he hadn't changed his clothes and was like maybe...
Would have left some DNA evidence in the back of the taxi.
Maybe, is what I'm assuming. And potentially any sort of like hairs or fibres she may have left from her clothing or her head hair may have been on him.
Yeah, definitely.
All it takes is one little fibre.
Yeah.
Finally, on January 18th, 2022, the same day of Ashling Murphy's funeral, the main suspect in the case was discharged from Tallaght Hospital, or a hospital in Dublin, and swiftly arrested on the suspicion of her murder. The following day, he was named as 31-year-old Joseph Puska, a Slovakian national. On the 19th of January, Joseph was brought before the local district court in a grey tracksuit, whilst Ashling's relatives stood at the back of the courtroom, holding photos of their beloved daughter, sister, and girlfriend. Outside, crowds gathered in support of Ashling Murphy's family and in a joint hatred for the man responsible for taking her from them. After Detective Sergeant David Scahill gave evidence of arrest, charge and caution, Joseph was asked how he pled, to which he simply responded, no. I have to assume they said, did you kill her or are you guilty of the murder? But he just said no.
Normally they say, how do you plead?
Not guilty.
And you say not guilty or guilty. Yeah. But you don't just sit there and go, nah.
Yeah.
No.
But they made a point to say that's what he said. So
okay.
Joseph was granted legal aid after a statement of means was submitted to the court, meaning that he didn't have the money for a lawyer of his own, with his defence solicitor, Ian Lysat, stating that Joseph was on disability benefits, which awarded him €200 a week, which is about £166, I believe. Judge Catherine Staines remanded Joseph in custody at Cloverhill Prison until January 26, 2022, when he would appear in court for the murder of Ashling for charging. And then that sort of got pushed back a few times.
Okay.
A second man was also arrested that same day in relation to withholding evidence. However, he was released without charge. And, to this day, Joseph sits in prison, awaiting his trial, which is set for the June 6th, 2023, at Central Criminal Court in Dublin. Of course, with Ashling's murder only happening 8 months ago, Joseph is yet to be trialled and sentenced for his alleged crimes, but the trial is expected to last around 3 to 4 weeks. And when it does go ahead, we will cover it. We will talk about what happens. We'll do an update.
Yeah, it'd be good. Also, that's a long time to drag out, but I'm guessing they just want to get every single piece of evidence.
You have to establish both of your arguments, really.
Yeah.
Both his lawyer has to have the chance to do that, and so does Ashling's family lawyer.
Yeah.
Or whoever's representing her, I don't know. The prosecutor. Ashling Murphy's funeral went ahead on January 18th, 2022, as mentioned above, at St Bridget's Church, with attendees including Taoiseach Michael Martin, essentially the Prime Minister of Ireland, as well as President Michael D. Higgins and the Minister for Justice, Helen McEntee. Her boyfriend of 5 years, Ryan Casey, whom Ashling was set to begin building a house with on land gifted to them by Ryan's grandfather less than a month before, on Christmas Day, spoke of his grief and loss, describing his love as everyone's shining light and his soulmate. He added, "She was always there, always willing to help anybody, anywhere, at any time, and always put herself last. She had so many hobbies and talents which all combined to make her the incredible, loving and beautiful person we were all so lucky to know and love to spend as much time with as possible." Ashling's funeral procession passed by the school where she worked, and children in schools across the country observed a minute's silence at 11 a.m. in her memory. Bishop Deenahan said that Ashling's murder made everyone question people's attitudes towards women. And I do think that one thing that sets Ireland apart a little bit from the UK, and this sounds like I'm dunking on Ireland and I'm not, but notoriously their abortion laws have been a lot stricter than ours.
Yeah.
Which is also something that's quite a hot topic at the moment.
It's still quite a religious country compared to England.
I think that's why I think it is due a bit of a upheaval in the terms of how women are viewed there. And I'm not saying they're backwards in any way. I'm just saying that because of the religiousness of the country and the religion being Christianity, Catholicism, because Catholicism isn't the most women forward religion. I don't want to offend anyone here, but because it's not the most women forward religion, there have been some stuff that has held women back and
definitely
created negative attitudes towards women. And I think, I hope and I think that this was a bit of a turning point. It's really sad that this had to be the turning point. And the thing is, there have been people campaigning for it, and this is not to diminish their efforts or to even try and speak about, well, in the UK we're like this, because oh my god, no, things are not right here either.
Oh my god.
And that was obviously brought forward by what happened to Sarah Everard and Sabina. And there's been other women
things
after.
Are getting worse in this country.
But I think it was just a bit of a turning point because it was an Irish crime.
Yeah.
Ashling's murder came after a number of highly publicised killings of women, which we've mentioned, which brought violence against women into the forefront of everyone's minds and hearts across Ireland and the United Kingdom. Women's Aid Ireland demanded a policy of zero tolerance of violence by men against women, stating that since they began keeping records in 1996, 244 women in Ireland have been killed by men, with 87% of solved crimes being perpetrated by a man that the victim knew. In direct response to Ashling's murder, the Minister for Justice, Helen McEntee, she was the one who attended her funeral, brought a memo to Cabinet on new legislation on the 20th of April, which could make stalking and non-fatal strangulation standalone offences carrying a maximum prison sentence of 10 years. The reason they include stalking in this is because it is believed that Joseph Puska may have stalked another potential victim just 2 hours before he killed Ashling, based upon CCTV footage found of him. And yeah, I'm guessing he probably did escalate in some way. I'm guessing he probably started by being an absolute creep.
Yeah, and it probably started with stalking and then escalated to...
Most killers don't start off with killing.
No.
It's probably not the first time he attacked someone either. It's what I'm guessing from what I know of criminals. But who knows?
Which will make it interesting once it goes to trial, because obviously we'll have more information then, and an update would be...
Yeah, we will do an update. Yeah. Obviously, we've got a year to go, pretty much. Now, chillingly, where Ashling was killed along the Grand Canal was at a stretch called Fiona's Way, named after a woman called Fiona Pender, who went missing 25 years ago in Tullamore. Fiona Pender has never been found to this day, but it is widely believed that she came to harm as she was pregnant with her boyfriend's baby at the time of her disappearance and was said to be excited for the next chapter in her life, having gone baby clothes shopping with her mum just the day before she vanished. And so, in 2017, Fiona's Way was created, serving as a walkway and monument for the young woman, with a sculpture in place for her, which was designed by her brother John. And if you look up the sculpture, it's 2 circles, one inside the other, set into 24 different parts. And he said that it's 2 different circles to represent her and her unborn child. Yeah. And the 24 parts are meant to be so you can count the hours of the day that she's been gone for.
Oh, that's really sweet. And
really sweet and
sad at the same time.
I think as well there was a cross found with her name on it, and so many believe she wasn't found underneath the cross, but many believe that she is dead, and the chances are that she is. Most people who are missing for 25 years aren't coming home.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah,
sadly. And what are the chances that this is where Ashling would lose her life, on the same stretch of land named after a woman whose life was also cut short, statistically likely to have been killed by a male perpetrator? And in all honesty, I don't really know how to end this episode, except to say that women deserve to be and feel safe everywhere. Everyone has that right. Men deserve it too.
Yeah.
And, everyone. So next time a woman is hurt, or even worse, try not to ask how she could have better protected herself. Instead, find yourself asking why men attack and kill women in such high numbers, and how we need to be having conversations about how misogynistic behaviour is not okay. This has recently been scarily made popular, again, by that arsehole Andrew Tate. Not just him, though. God. He is just a prolific person at the moment.
Yeah.
And I believe he needs no introduction. I don't want to give him one.
No.
Other than that arsehole Andrew Tate. And thank fuck he's finally off of everything.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
But yeah, the things that school teachers have said that they've heard their young male pupils say and tell other...
really?
Yeah. There's been a few teachers that have heard their male pupils talk about Andrew Tate, and then in the same breath tell female members in the same class, like, shut up, you belong in the kitchen, shut up, women aren't important, I'll choke you, and all this. Like, it's scary. And whilst he's not the only misogynistic asshole out there, he's definitely someone who had a large following, and unfortunately a lot of people believe that
as well.
Yeah, because he was on platforms like TikTok, which has a younger following.
Yeah.
Like, I feel old on there.
Yeah, I don't have TikTok.
And we see it time and time again with women being shamed and victim blamed. So, like, you can look at Netflix documentaries such as The Most Hated Man on the Internet.
Yeah.
You told me to watch it. I did. Arsehole.
Very good documentary, but it just makes you hate people.
Yes.
Really.
And obviously he also targeted men, but it was mainly women he was targeting, let's be honest.
Yeah.
Also, we all know that like a male naked body is less taboo than a woman's naked body because men are, on the whole, less sexualized.
Yeah.
And it's less taboo to sexualize them, which works in good and bad ways. Like, it's a subject that I could speak about for a while, but
again, another rabbit hole.
Another rabbit hole. And then the one with the guy who committed all the fraud against those women, like I heard people, and I think I might have thought it myself. You know, I'm not infallible. I say bad shit all the time. You know, that a lot of people like can't believe they fell for that. And it's like people do fall for things because the people who carry out these things are abusive and manipulative.
Yeah.
And until you've been abused and manipulated, you will always believe that you couldn't have fallen for that.
Yeah. And
we all like to think we're smarter than we are.
Yeah, and they are very intelligent people. And they're very charming people.
Like, Andrew Tate is intelligent. He's an arsehole and he's got shitty ideas, but he's obviously intelligent.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
And manipulative and charming. Like, as much as I don't like him, he is watchable. Otherwise, people wouldn't watch him.
Exactly. He wouldn't have a platform.
Yeah, I know he's watchable for the wrong reasons, but... He's obviously got something about him that makes people want to watch his videos.
And believe him.
Yeah.
Men and women and our non-binary, transgender, transfluid pals and all those who identify as whomever they are, we are all equal. We all have a want to live and to flourish and to be safe, and we all deserve the same opportunities to do so. So I've decided to end today by just saying, just don't be a dick, okay? It's simple. I'm not one for the Bible. I think everyone knows that. But maybe the one thing they got right was do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. I'm like paraphrasing a bit. I'm not religious. But it's a good motto to live by. If you don't want it done to you, don't do it to someone else.
Agreed.
It's okay. We're all human. We all fuck up. We're all on our best selves sometimes and we're all not always kind.
Yeah.
But just try.
Yeah. I think as long as you're doing it for the most part. And obviously, as you said, we are all human. Sometimes you do just have a bad day and snap. But as long as you apologise for it and
grow.
Yeah.
You know, I don't believe in cancel culture. I believe in like speaking about when someone does something wrong and then they can live and grow from it.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, it's there's not much to say on this other than like I hope things begin to change and in the right direction. Like I said, it sometimes feels like we're going backwards, especially in America.
Oh God, yeah. Let's not even go there.
That's without even thinking about countries all over the world where women aren't even allowed out by themselves without a male escort. So, whilst I will always fight for men's rights, I will always fight for women's rights as well because there are a lot of women across the globe who don't have basic rights.
Yeah,
and it's scary.
Yeah, it's. I mean, I know, like obviously the situation in the UK at the minute isn't great, but actually it is better than a lot of other places, so 100%. We do have to count ourselves lucky.
But that doesn't mean we don't strive for better.
Oh God, no.
And I guess I'm just left to ask, what are your thoughts today, Jess, on that uplifting case? I mean, like, no true crime case are ever going to be uplifting, but sometimes I can end on something good.
Yeah.
But at the moment, she hasn't even got justice.
No, it's nice that it's something that's not necessarily got the ball rolling, so to speak, because there was other things,
but hopefully changes.
Really, like, starts bringing about changes.
At least opens up that dialogue.
Yeah, gets people talking, gets people thinking.
Yeah,
as well, because even if, like, there will be people who are too scared to speak up about it because of whatever reason. Maybe they're in an abusive relationship. Even if a man in like who thinks that women should have more rights than they are, but they're not necessarily an abusive, like, intimate relationship with someone, but a friendship relationship with someone.
There's a lot of locker room talk that has to be addressed.
And maybe they start thinking about it. They want to remove themselves from that and then bring their kids up better.
But the thing is, it's not just about removing themselves. They have to address it.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing. I try not to demonise men because, like I said, statistics of male suicide are so high. And I think by only saying men are the problem, it's not going to... It doesn't unify us. It creates a bigger split. But I think that men do have a responsibility that when they hear other men saying things such as, oh, nice pair of tits on that,
it
or
should
whatever,
be challenged. Yeah,
things like that should be challenged.
Yeah.
And I would like to think and hope that the men I surround myself with in my life are actively doing that.
I think the men that I know would do that, but I can also see the other side of it, where it is, if you think you're going to get beat up, why you would be worried about challenging that. So I do kind of see both sides.
I completely think you've got to keep yourself safe, but
yeah, we need to get more people need to challenge it.
Yeah, 100%. Like, just like it's not enough to be non-racist, you have to be actively anti-racist.
Yeah.
It's not enough to be non-misogynistic, you have to be anti-misogynistic.
Yeah.
Anti-misogynism. Misogyny? Misogyny.
Yeah.
And so
in the end.
I guess that's kind of all we have to say. Just don't be a dick. Treat people how you want to be treated. And stay spooky. Hey guys, if you have a ghost story or a case suggestion, please email us. truecrimecovenpod@gmail.com.
You can also find us on Twitter @truecrimecoven or on Instagram and Facebook, where we are @truecrimecovenpod.
Also, it would mean the absolute world to us if you could rate us wherever you're listening to this right now, be it Spotify, Apple Music, or if you're on YouTube, give us a little thumbs up, click that bell, get notifications every time we post.
Subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts from.
Make these two witches smile. Thanks, witches.